Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. I'm doing double duty again today. So, welcome LinkedIn, because on this camera over here, there's LinkedIn, there's Facebook, there's Twitter, and there's YouTube. And over here on that camera, over there, just a little bit to the left, is Instagram. So, welcome Instagram as well. I see Rosa Pink has joined. Thanks for joining me here. And for those of you who don't know me, I am Dr. Twanna, and as a career coach, I empower stressed, busy women executives who are tackling imposter syndrome, self criticism, and doubt. I help them to alleviate stress so that they can find peace of mind and focus on excelling in their careers. Because who wants to be stressed all the time, especially if your job gives you no work life balance and you're kind of wondering why you're getting up? So I help women alleviate that and take that away. So you actually look forward to getting up and going to the job that you choose, right? So I had a request to do this particular live today. And today's live is why you should set intentions rather than goals. So, for those of you who I know on Instagram you can't see this, but for everyone else, I have a question out there. Like, how many adults actually set goals? I'm going to ask those of you everywhere, Instagram and everywhere, how many of you actually set goals? Okay. Now let me set this to my comments over here so I can see. Yeah, how many of you actually set goals? You know, and then just another a different way, because I'm asking how many of you set goals. That's what we're talking about today. I also want to know anyone out there already setting intentions? Right. So the question is do you set goals or do you set intentions? Right. That's the question today. And then as well, I wanted to know, for those of you that set goals, like, do you set daily and weekly goals, or is it, just the beginning of the year when people do New Year's resolutions? I don't do New Year's resolutions anymore. I do set intentions, though. And I have found my life to be much more successful with intentions. And that's what we're going to talk about today, right? And so let's go over those questions again. How many adults do you think set goals, or do you set goals? And my next question was, do you have you ever set intentions before? I mean, everybody pretty much knows goals, because I know here in the United States we're a very goal oriented society, right? Some other societies are, but some are not. Okay. And then do you actually set daily goals, or do you set weekly goals? What about monthly? What about yearly? What type of goals do you actually set? And so those are some good questions. So again, if you're just joining me, I'm Dr. Tawana, a career coach, career transition coach. And today I'm talking about why you should set intentions rather than goals. And so when I did the research for this, about I think it was about 7 in 10 people in the United States anyway set goals. About 7 in 10 people, right? And then you want to look at how many people actually reach the goals. That's a whole another issue. But as far as setting goals, adults, it's about 7 in 10 folks do set goals. Okay. And so setting intentions is a little different because a lot of people haven't heard about the difference between setting goals and setting intentions. Okay. And so it'll be interesting. And those of you who catch this on the replay, thank you once. Let me just say thank you guys for everyone who's here live. But for those of you as well who catch this on the replay, answer the questions. I always circle back and answer people's questions and clarify things, because I know someone hit me up and said, you said you put this link out there, you didn't. I was like, oops, here's a link. So I do come back and answer questions and respond to comments. Okay. And so it actually is important to understand the difference between setting intentions and setting goals, because in today's fast paced, goal driven world, there's just so much attention on achievement, goals, set the goals, work hard, get the goals, achieve the goals, right? But in this relentless drive, to get um, to reach the goal, reach the goal, reach the goal, there is another way. There is another way to do it, right? And the reason why I found this so important is because, again, I was doing the research. Oh, I think it's been about 3 years ago, and I came across the term goal trauma. I was like, oh, okay, let me rewind that back. Say what? But there is a such thing as goal trauma, right? And so I'm going to put that in the comments here so everybody knows. It's like, what are you saying? I'm actually saying goal trauma, and there is a such thing as goal trauma. Okay. And that's why being able to set intentions is so important. And so, although they may seem like they're the same thing, intentions and setting goals, actually, they're fundamentally different. Okay. A little scrubbing noise you heard was my alert bracelet scrubbing on my laptop down here. I was trying to turn it around, so hopefully it doesn't scrub like that again. So let's go ahead and talk about it. So what is a goal, right? We probably have heard somewhere along the way that goals are specific, they're measurable, they're achievable or attainable, they're relevant or realistic. In other words, we can get to them, and they're time bound. There's some kind of time put on it, right? And typically, goals are about a specific tangible outcome that you want to achieve, with a predetermined time frame. It's a destination of specific result to where you want to go, to what you want to get to, right? And again, we know they're often smart, specific, measurable, attainable, or some people say achievable, relevant, or realistic. And there's a time component to that. The thing with goals is that people do feel pressured, right? We have the goal, it has a date on it, and we can, look at the time between then and now, divide that up into times, and as that time starts to click a little closer and then a little closer, many of us become pressured to reach that goal, pressured to perform, right? And that pressure can create anxiety. Okay. And so much so that for some folks, they people will oftentimes look out like, I'm gonna lose 15 pounds in 3 months. By the time week 4, 5, 6 rolls around, the angst starts to go, the anxiety starts to go up. And what happens is people will look and say, I said I was gonna do this by this date. And as they see that they've missed too many short-term goals, right? They just look at it and say, I'm not going to reach this. I'm not going to make it. I'm a failure. And so they stop, right? And now there's a guilt that's associated with not reaching the goal. There's shame associated with not reaching that goal. And sometimes there's anxiety because we told everybody else about the goals. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And now there's you feeling some kind of way, and you feel like you're a failure from your families or your mate or your friends or your boss or whoever. And so people start to really feel unhappy. In fact, research says that when people set audacious goals, right? And that's what we're told to do. Set a goal so that it stretches you, right? When people do that, and it's a bit more than what they can chew, it's a bit more than what they can achieve. Actually, the research says that your self-esteem drops, and so does your motivation. And if you don't believe that, go to a workplace where a workplace has these really stretch goals. They're like almost impossible to achieve, but they get everybody hyped up, or they say, you will do. Look at what happens to the motivation as people start to fall off and they can't reach the goal. Self esteem drops, and so does motivation. That's the issue when we set goals, right? And Dr. Richard Nungard is one of my book coaches, and he has a book out, and it's really gives you some great instructions on goals versus intentions. Okay, and so this is what Dr. Nungard had to say about goals. He said, goals keep you focused on the problem rather than the solution. And say that again. Goal, like goal focus. Goals keep us focused on a problem consistently and not on a solution. So he says that you're constantly focused on what you do not have. When you say I'm goal focused, you put this goal out there in the future, And now you're always focused on what you do not have consistently all the time. Does that cause a little anxiety? Does it even cause anxiety as you hear me talking about it? Yeah, you can kind of feel that rise, right? And then another problem that I find with goals is again, is that other people can set goals for you. I know folks who have degrees because their parents says you will get a degree in XYZ. And that's the thing about goals. You can set yours, or other people can set yours for you. And that becomes a problem because you feel obligated. You feel obligated to reach goal X because someone else said you need to do this. So sometimes it's your parents, sometimes it's your spouse. My wife told me I got to lose 15 pounds in the next 3 months. That's someone else literally setting a goal for you, and you gotta be motivated and get it in gear to reach something, a problem that you're not necessarily interested in solving. That's what goals can do for us. Sometimes it's our spouses, our love, our bosses that set goals for you, right? And so when we talk about a goal, for instance, I will lose 15 pounds in the next 3 months, right? We got the very specific 15 pounds. The time frame is there in 3 months, right? So we know it's smart, it's specific, it's measurable. As far as we know, it's attainable. That's a huge stretch because you're talking 5 pounds a month, but that's doable, right? It's achievable, right? So let's look at, and again, someone else can set that goal for you. Like I said, my wife said I got to lose 5 pounds, right? Has happened, right? So in comes intentions, and so what is setting an intention about? So an intention is, on the other hand, is actually a guiding principle or value that you aim for in order to align it with your daily life, not like at some date, 6 months in the future, 5 years in the future, 12 months in the future, but it's really your daily life. So rather than focusing on a problem as an endpoint, intentions are about your journey and how you choose to live day in and day out to get to that intention. And really, intentions center around, right, aligning our thoughts and our beliefs and our behaviors, right? And when you do that, you actually increase the likelihood of achieving your intention because it's not out there somewhere. It's like, what am I going to do every day? What's my intention every day? So, I talked about an example, or my example that I gave here of a smart goal was I will lose 15 pounds in 3 months, or my wife told me I better lose 15 pounds in 3 months. Anyway, whichever way that happened, it's a goal. Okay. But when we talk about intentions, we will look at take that goal and make an intention. You know what? I'm going to prioritize my self care and wellness. Fairly broad, right? Any kind of angst or anxiety when you hear that? Probably not. That's a broad topic, right? It is very broad. And so when we talk about setting, the goals, like, and I've had folks come in and say, yes, I'm gonna lose 49 pounds in the next 8 months, and I'm gonna do that by working out at the gym 7 days a week, and I will not eat any chocolate at all, and I'm gonna only work out at the gym, and I'm gonna do. And then what happens is when you set those kinds of goals, well, number one, it's a setup for failure. If you're going to work out at the gym 7 days a week and there's a flood and the gym closes, or you said I'm going to work out at the gym 7 days, a week, and there's a snowstorm, you can't get to the gym. It's a setup for failure because what we do in our mind is I can't work out at the gym. I've already failed. Now, could you find things to do in the house? Yes, but your mind is set on that gym because that's a part of your goal. I said I do this. And again, we feel like a failure. We fall back and we feel bad. And so let's look at setting intentions. I'm going to prioritize my self care and my health and my wellness, right? So, how can I do that? Right now, in this moment, what can I do? Well, I can start off by drinking 8 to 10 glasses of water. Okay. Right. In fact, let me go fill this glass up now with 2 glasses of water. Right now, that's what you do. You're already working towards that intention, right? You can say, well, I haven't walked in a while, so I think that I'm going to go ahead and take a walk tomorrow. Let's say it rains tomorrow. Well, that's okay. Maybe I'll do, and this is what I'm doing. I'll do a CrossFit push-up, right? And CrossFit push-ups are a little different from the up and down push-ups, but you can drop right now and do that. Or you can say, I'm just gonna plank instead of walking outside. It's raining. So intentions are very flexible and they're much more gentler. If you need to adjust and refocus, you can, because you're not time bound like by this date I got to do this thing and I have to do it in this manner and this many times. You don't have to do that, right? And that's what makes intentions much gentler. And when I first heard this, I was like, I'm setting my goals. It's what I was taught all my life. It's what I'm taught, right? But after I actually read Dr. Nungard's book, which is actually was a self hypnosis book, and he had a chapter in there about setting intentions. I read it, digested it, went back and reread it, and I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense. And so I do. I actually set intentions now. And so I may still set some goals, but I tend to set intentions because they're much more general, right? And so we talk about those key differences between intentions and goals. So let's go ahead and break it. I got some examples here. Let's just break that down, right? So goals are outcome based. They focus on something specific, whereas intentions are process based. They emphasize your journey and the attitude with which you approach life. What am I going to do every day? I'm going to drink these 8 to 10 glasses of water. Let me start with 1 or 2 glasses now, right? You know what? If you say that I'm going to be healthier and I get sick and I break my leg, there's no harm, no foul, because I can actually keep drinking my water until I get to the point where I can actually walk again. Very flexible and achievable, right? When it comes to a time frame, goals are typically they have a time frame and a set deadline, a hard deadline, right? Intentions are often timeless. They can be, and they often serve as a guiding principle, right? When we talk about flexibility, goals can be very rigid because here's what I'm going to do. Here's the time frame I have to do it in. Here's all the things I have to do to get there, right? And that could, because they tend to be rigid, goals can make you feel like a failure if you miss the one thing. I tend to try to work with people to not do the I'm going to work out 7 days. I try to get people to do a range, because if you say 7 days a week and you get COVID and you can't exercise for 7 days, you just feel like a failure and you tend to stop. That's why we don't necessarily reach goals, because if we say, oh, I miss these things here, I'm never getting there, I'm done, I quit. And that's why sometimes goals are failure based on the outcome, right? Whereas intentions allow that flexibility. They can actually evolve with time and experience. You can up it, decrease it depending on what you're doing, right? And so both goals and intentions matter, right? What I find though is this: people can become so goal oriented that the goal becomes the reason for doing anything, not the journey, not who you become. And they become consumed about reaching their goal. As soon as they hit that goal, they check it off and they find something else to strive for. They reach it and then they find something else to strive for. The thing is in between all that, there's no happiness, there's no achievement, there's no feel like I've achieved anything, because the goal becomes the goal. That's all I'm concerned about. Not about whether I'm happy and striving and doing all this reaching. And then setting intentions pulls you back out of that. And again, the research says that when people set these really huge goals and they're a bit much than they can handle, and they fail, that their self-esteem drops and so does their motivation. Setting intentions get you out of that. It pulls you away from that sense of failure because you're flexible throughout, right? And so again, goals can provide direction and they can give you something concrete to work towards. But intentions really infuse with your journey, your beliefs, and what you do in the here and now, right? Intentions remind you of your core values, and they ensure that your actions are always aligned with your beliefs, so that you're not chasing something that doesn't fit with your intention and with your goals and or your values. You're not chasing goals that don't fit with your value, and then you feel bad when you don't reach the goal, or you feel bad when you do reach it because it wasn't set with your values in mind, right? And so intentions are just way general. They don't cause as much anxiety. They don't cause anxiety. right? They don't even cause that amount of stress, right? And so when we look at everything, for many people, setting intentions is an overall healthier, less stressful, and less anxious way to achieve success. And at the end of the day, when you set intentions, you do tend to reach them because it's focused on what I can do right now to reach that intention. Not what I can do in 2 weeks, not what I can do in 6 months, not what I can do in a year. What can I do right now in this moment, right? And so, thank you. That's what I have for you today. I appreciate you for hanging in there. Again, for those of you that are watching this live, thank you for being here. And for so many of you who catch these on the replay, thank you as well. And so, next week is a brand new month, and I have a whole new series of videos for you. So, I'll drop the press release so you'll be able to see all of that, and I'll let you know. So, do come back this same time next Wednesday, 8:35 Eastern, 7:35 Central, and 5:35 Pacific Standard Time. Appreciate you all for being here. Take care. Bye-bye.